Every few months at Honda headquarters in Torrance, California, they host a Cars and Coffee featuring hundreds of vehicles, mostly Honda and Acura, but there are many others in attendance. I grabbed my friends Mike and Kenny, and we headed out to Cali to attend the last one of 2024. That morning we met up at a local well-known coffee shop and we caravanned to the spot. Overall, about 44 intersections showed up early in the morning. We're talking 6:30, 6:45. We got all parked. Some joined later. Don't worry, there's not a lot of still shots. I just had to borrow these from a couple of friends. So this is what it looks like coming from the parking lot. That's the main entrance. In front of me, to the left, you see this Indy Yellow Pearl HRC Edition Integra Type S. More on that in a second. But first things first, this was a toy drive. Special thanks to Nate. We'll see his card later for hooking me up with this toy. I did not have time to go and buy it. But you exchange a toy and for a limited time you can get these special collectible pins. So this is pretty neat. Got my pin, ready to go inside. But first let's check out the Indy Yellow Pearl HRC. Wow, look at this thing. Again, this is the HRC edition. This debuted at Monterey. This is supposed to be a prototype. Everything about this aero is functional. You can learn a lot more if you watch Jonathan Rivers' video on drive culture. This thing looks beautiful. Actually, this Indy Yellow Pearl, only the second gen NSX has it, and there's actually one of those in attendance today, so you'll see that in a little bit. What do you guys think about this exhaust in the back? Looks pretty cool. Got the HRC stamped out of it. I think they should have done maybe a burnt titanium, something a little cooler, but it's functional. God, I love this interior. Look at all this carbon. I think my favorite part is the seats. Tell me what your favorite part of this interior is. I think originally when they unveiled this, they were talking about actually selling this spec next year. So should they sell it or should they only sell the parts for it? Tell me what you think. Let's go inside and check out the private collection. Nice open area. And then of course there's a gift shop. We'll get to that in a little bit. Walking down the hall, they have all sorts of engines split in half. K series, C series, B series. Pretty much anything that you would have thought of in Honda's heritage is here. Go into the collection room. You see a lot of the race cars they've had over the decades. I'm not sure what this Honda specifically is. You can tell me in the comments, but I really love the way it looks. But they have a little bit of everything here. All these cars are legit. Here you have the Real-Time Racing 42 iconic Integra Type R. This specific one driven by Pierre Klein-Newman. The NSX was outside. I don't think I even cooked video of that. Want to tell us what we're looking at?
We're looking at a NSX motor. This is out of the 99 Alex Zanardi edition. It's a 3.2 liter V6, 290 horsepower.
I don't know if the parts come chrome like that.
In yours they did.
I want to thank Lamar for reading the sign on the Zanardi. There's actually two of them outside. Check out this Indy Yellow Pearl NSX Type S. I almost bought this color. I don't know if I'd want a yellow car for 5 to 10 years, but it's a beautiful color. One thing Honda has that's really cool is we always forget about the motorcycles. The motorcycles is a big part of the Honda heritage. One would argue a bigger part than even the cars. They have them lined up on the inside of the collection hall. You also see these little miniatures. I want to say they're 1/8 scale cars around the collection hall, which is really cool to kind of see some of the history. Look at this old NSX, this old Prelude, these old Legends, all these old cars. I don't know if that's a Prelude or not, but I'm going to get some of these cars wrong. Look at this little thing. This almost looks like a Crossfire or something. I know that's probably sacrilege to say, but it's part of the heritage, part of the history, and there's a lot of detail in these little models. You guys remember the Honda Insight? This thing, 2006, first real hybrid. The world wasn't ready for it. Walking around the back of these cars, walk away with a bigger appreciation for them, because everybody knows somebody in the family who had one of these. One of your neighbors, maybe your dad or mom had one in college, maybe you had one in college, maybe you have one now. I mean, which one of these old ones is your favorite? Like most kids, I was big into exotic sports cars and things. It wasn't until I was older that I appreciated the Hondas a little bit more. Look at this thing. A friend of mine pointed out that it looks like a boat, and I agree. I saw it as some sort of a funky Formula One car, but basically it looks like a boat on wheels. You're looking at a ZDX concept car. I saw a blue one of these when I was in Monterey a few years ago, and of course this is the production version now. Really cool electric. I haven't driven it, I've just been around it. It looks like a micronized MDX. And of course, before we leave, I had to check out the gift shop. Pretty much anything you would want there. And it seems like the prices were kind of high, but when you compare them to what you can get out in the public, if you can even find stuff, take example this Integra Type S. This was $80. Cheapest I could find it online after I left was $150 on eBay from the UK. They have a couple other models. Good luck. I was standing in line and my friend Anthony had these little tickets. I go, what is this? He goes, oh, you got to get one. This is the Mini GT limited edition Honda S2000. They do this every year. Mission accomplished. Went outside to take a look at the cars, but also wanted to check out all the sponsors and vendors. I always try to see what they have. I never made it to that Honda tent, because I always run into people like, look, there's Kelly and Jody of Honda. Farasat's NSX with the Advan GTs. This thing has the Science of Speed Pure Turbo. He also has an NSX Type S. Here's Anthony's car. He's the guy who let me know about the Honda S2000 model, so thanks, Anthony. This is an incredible build. He wins all the time. This is one of the reasons I stopped competing in California with my old NSX, because when you go up against guys like this, everything is so meticulous. Deserves all the trophies. That sinister NSX, you guys have to know this car. One of 3 or 4 in SoCal that are just over the top awesome. This is Jay Jones's NSX, got all the modifications. He hooked me up with some still shots earlier. Let's walk around and take a look at some of the other cars. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and look at different cars, but we have to stop, and I want to show you guys the difference between my NSX Type S and Jim Lee, who works at Honda Acura's NSX, because we both have Type S's. I have the 130R, he has the Casino White Pearl. So if you step back and look at them, the Casino White Pearl is a great color, multi-layered, and it kind of takes on the environment, versus the 130R, which I have. I consider that a Stormtrooper white. I went with the 130R. It felt to me more pure race car, although if I had a non-Type S, I definitely would have got this Casino White Pearl. Take a look at his wheels. Those are stock wheels, but he has them painted, and I think it's Tiger Eye Pearl, one of the PMC colors for the other Type S models. But when you get closer, I want you to kind of look at that pearl that's in the paint. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Just chasing his HREs. Wanted you guys to take a look at this car. I go, what the heck is that? It is not very good looking in my opinion, but it is a collector car, I believe. But looking at it, it's a Challenger. So far away from the Dukes of Hazzard and the modern Challengers. That was probably the last generation Challenger before they came out 10 or so years ago with the newer body styles. Maybe it was longer than 10 years ago. There's Lamar's NSX. Lamar gave us the reading of the engine that we were looking at earlier with the Zanardi. And he just happened to park next to a Zanardi. How do you know it's a Zanardi? Well, when you immediately look, you can't really tell because it's got the red roof. People could paint their cars as Zanardi wheels, but really the sure thing is the look in between the seats. The interior, it's got the metal plate. It says Zanardi. This is a beautiful Porsche. I don't know what year this is. Porsche guys, help me out. I want to say it's an early 80s, late 70s Porsche. And here we have an Indy Yellow Pearl NC1 NSX. And look at that color. That thing looks great on the NSX. It looks great on the Integra. Rocking those bronze Advan GTs. Love those wheels. Walk around looking at some other ones. And look, I found another Zanardi. Guys, look at that. You can see the little plate in between. A Type R dedicated build. So many beautiful NSXs there. It's so hard to pick one. Let me know what your favorite one is. There's so many. Here's one that was parked a couple cars down from me, and he was talking about his carbon fiber hood. Look at those wheels. Those are BC Forge wheels on some Stop Tech. He's got the carbon fiber hood, but this is kind of a drier carbon hood as opposed to most people get the wet look. And it's not a wrap, but he also has a little vent louvers in there as well, which most people skip on that. So major props. Those red seats, beautiful touch, and this thing is turboed, you can tell because it's got the downpipe. It's just an incredible looking car. Nice wheel setup. This is my favorite wide body there. Has a super GT look. Love those wheels. They remind me of kind of the Mugans on the Castrol Mugen NSX. Interior is really unique. That just reminds me a lot of a Super GT NSX, and man, if I had 3 or 4 NSXs, one of them would look almost just like that, at least with a body kit. There's Mike Trans. Mike rode out there with me. Mike has a twin turbo 95 NSX repainted Imola. Got a backyard special spoiler on there, and we're gonna go and take a look at his interior because he's got a customized interior. Tell me in the comments, did you notice the difference? He has 2 different sets of wheels on this car as well, passenger to driver side. Look at that interior. Love it or hate it, it's definitely unique. I think it looks great. In the world that we're in, it's just hard to stand out. I love this red NSX. I don't know if it's the racing stripes, obviously the stance. It just reminds me of something I would have fallen in love with 10, 15 years ago. We're gonna take a look at Nathan's car. Sporting the One Auto, much love, much respect. This is a car that's kind of a Frankenstein build. He debuted this in 2015. This car is all over the internet. People either love it or they really hate it. But one thing you can't say is it's not original. He's done all this work on his own, and outside of the body, there's not a lot of NSX stuff going on here. The motor, the doors, the drivetrain. I didn't take the video, but it's got the Prelude all-wheel drive steering, so if he turns that steering wheel, you can see the rear wheels turn as well, so that's super cool. Now we're gonna go over to S2000 lane because, man, I love S2000s. I've only driven one, but now I was on a recent trip to Dallas. It's the first time. That one was significantly modified, so it didn't drive like a pure one. I love this white one though, man. These cars are they're so nice to look at. And like mini cars, they look like they're all the same until you really look at them, and then you start noticing the little differences. And sometimes all we can do is put suspension and wheels on it. Some of them have hard tops. Most of them are convertible, I believe. I think there are some that come from the factory with hard tops. You S2000 guys watching this, you can correct me on that down in the comments, because I don't know that much about these cars other than they are arguably better track cars and better driver cars than the first gen NSX. A lot of people that I know have both, and the NSX guys say that they're better. The S2000 guys say the S2000s are better. I don't have a preference. Obviously, I had an NSX, but I do like looking at these things. I like the clear headlights, those JDM style. I'm partial to that, but it's just the little things, right? You have 2 different sets of headlights right there, 2 different front clips, and you started adding fenders and a bumper. This one that's wrapped on the right, Christmas with the Christmas paper hood, it looks completely different, but it's the same car. I had to get these 2 on video. These cars look great. I think they're both wrapped. That's a look that was pretty popular a few years ago, and I still think it looks great on these cars. Can you guess what time of year it was when we did this? I think that says happy ending on there. That's kind of funny. This blue one, obviously you can see the fenders, a little wide body action going on this car, and it is actually for sale. I wouldn't have normally have put this on video, but if you take it to a car meet like this, you obviously want to sell it. So there you go, guys. Give that guy a call. It might still be available. I don't know. Now we're going to head over to the Civics. Take a look at all the Civics. Civic here, Civic there, Civic everywhere. Obviously those were Lexus at the end, but I don't know, I really like this little JDM Boys Civic. This thing is, I can say, cute. I don't know if that's a fit. And of course the white on white, I love it, obviously. This Civic caught my eye. I like the blue emblem, nice touch. All the arrow on there, nice touch. The white wheels, of course, timeless. It's a really nice setup. There's a lot of nice setups out there. If I didn't film your car, doesn't mean I didn't like it. I probably didn't see it, because by the time I got out to the parking lot, honestly, I was inside for a couple hours and people have to go places, you know. Although the parking lot does look really full, because it was full. Spilled over into the adjacent lot across the street, which I did not go over there and take videos. And yes, I'm gonna pan back to the skyline, because who doesn't love a good skyline? What's your favorite skyline? I'm an R33 guy. Look at all the motorcycles. Again, like I said, inside, you can't have an event without motorcycles. Usually you don't see motorcycles show up to a Cars and Coffee unless it's a row of Ducatis, so I appreciate seeing those. Another thing you're never gonna see unless you go to Honda Cars and Coffee is look at all these elements. I'm sure there's a couple pilots in there, but I love how everyone showed up like this, turned their cars into campers, just hung out. I saw one that was well modified. Look at this thing. Elemental. I never thought about doing something like this to an Element. I had some good friends that have Elements, and they were just kind of, they weren't very appealing to me. I think there's a guy who's turned one into a pickup truck, which is pretty cool. But you can tell that they had at least one facelift before they stopped making them. Looking at the headlights, that's cool. It's expensive. Couple cars that aren't Hondas and Acuras. Check out these Citroens. These were parked over by the NSXs, kind of where I first started. I took these videos because I like seeing stuff like this at Cars and Coffee and different events. This little red thing, super cool. Really kind of a throwback. Here I found another NSX. This one has some Advan, looks like Advan Model 5s, which is one of the most desirable wheels for these cars back in the day. This little Civic was super cool. It almost looks like a Mini Cooper. I need some help with this one, guys. This is a cabriolet, right-hand drive, so obviously an import. And I tried to look it up afterwards, and of course all cabriolet really means is convertible. I don't know what this is, but it was kind of cool. Is this a cappuccino maybe? Oh, wait, that's not it. So let me know which specific Honda that is. Gotta check out these little toys and miniatures like the diecast, guys. This mat is set up and it looks like the cars are moving. Kind of find out this is actually Willie, and we had met earlier, and he's going to be on the podcast coming up really soon, if not already. And I gotta give some love to this right-hand drive RSX Type S. Didn't like RSXs at first, but I do like them now. Here's some of the other cars at the show. This is probably my favorite car there that wasn't a Honda and Acura, or it could just be my favorite car there, period. That was really cool. Well, afterwards, it's time to head home. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.